Hey, it's the Sophia Chang Show, and I've got my first listener question. This is from Azrin, who speaks about 428 languages. I mean, pretty much that's what he does. And his claim to fame is that his Chinese does not make my ears bleed. So listen on to Azrin's question about my world travels.
Hey Sophia, it's Azrin, the language nerd here. Hope you're doing very, very well. I wanted to ask you something here. I was looking through and I saw that you've done a whole bunch of traveling. And I'm a big traveler myself. Seems like you've probably traveled more than I have, most likely, just based on the countries you listed out. But I guess I was wondering, like, what are some of those memorable or interesting or funny or hey, let's just say memorable, interesting, or funny things that you did or that you experienced when you were abroad. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, talk to you soon. Bye.
I love this question, Nazrin, and I love that it comes from a fellow traveler. So what he's referring to is hashtag Nomad 2015. It's the 13 months that I spent having this eat, pray, love experience, and I'm so glad I did. It was the coolest thing I have ever done in my 30s other than survive anti-Magen chemo, which is pretty freaking badass. But Nomad 2015, I kind of just hopped around the world and I had no home. I got rid of all my things. I left the country and I bought one-way tickets everywhere. And I basically made a deal with God and I said, I'm going to throw myself into your arms and you are going to tell me where to buy my next plane ticket, where I'm going to lay my head. Sometimes by the end of the week, I was, done with the Airbnb. I had no idea where I'd go next. And you're going to, you're going to show me how I'm going to feed myself, clothe myself, and all that. I did work. A lot of you guys are like, how did you do that? I did work. I worked remotely. So I was still college admissions coaching and tutoring students from wherever I went around the world. So all you need is a laptop and the willingness to either stay up late or get up early. It's a good job. So now, as for the memorable and funny things, there was so many. You can go to my website, sophiachang.com, like Azrin did, and just check out my Nomad 2015 tag to see all the amazing stories, like staying in a tiny house. There was a time that, a Bactrian camel kept chewing on my leg. That was so cute. Oh my gosh, I went on one date in Taipei, and the guy kept groping me in the park at where we were walking afterwards. And this was not like a deserted park or anything. It was so awkward. Very, very awkward. I don't understand. I think they think that American women are particularly loose because we have such a slutty persona in media, and also a lot of people actually are. But if I want to talk about one particularly memorable moment, it was when I was in what is my favorite city on that world tour, and that would be Montreal. I know, it's not super far or like, Papua New Guinea or anything, but it's exotic in its own sense in that it is very, very, very French. And I am quite terrible at French. Really bad at it. Azrin, you're probably 10,000 times better at French, not to mention every other language, but French is my third language. I don't really count Latin. If I do count it, then it's my fourth language. But I was really terrible at it. I was on Duolingo trying to learn it. It wasn't going well. I got as far relearn it, I should say. I got as far as maybe being able to order a gyro, and I could just tell everybody was like cringing, ears bleeding. But when I was in Montreal, I was out at a dance night. I was an aerial acrobat as well as a blues and fusion dancer, and I was an instructor in both of these. Now, I traveled around in every single city I went to. The first thing I did was look for, number one, the aerial studio, and number two, where the blues dancing was. And there was blues dancing everywhere. It was amazing. And it was a great way to, have a social life, meet people, and just practice my craft and learn how people dance in different places. So I was at a dance night, and I had put my purse in the back seat, not the back seat, in the trunk of my friend's car. And, we kind of just parked the car, ran across the street to the dance. And he was, I think he was DJing that night. Yeah, so he had to go there. He had to get there really fast. We come out and we find out that someone has broken into his car because Genius forgot to lock it. Now, Montreal being a lot like the continent, that would be Europe, it doesn't have a ton of violent crime the way we do in awful gun-toting America. Yes, I got political. What are you going to do, shoot me? It is legal here. It doesn't have a lot of violent crime. It has a lot of petty theft. There was a lot of purse snatching. You'd be sitting at a cafe outdoors, everybody, having our little demi-tasse, being really French. And you'd hear a woman scream, and then you'd see a guy go running, and then somebody goes running after him. I mean, it was exciting times. So this was fairly common. So the purse was stolen out of the back. Now, luckily, I had taken my driver's license, which, and I didn't have my passport in the bag, thank God. And I had taken one single credit card. I had one credit card to feed me and get me back to the States. So that was a terrible time, and we were up most of the night. I think he went to a park where he said that a lot of these petty criminals, they usually, when they steal your stuff, they usually kind of like dump it and go, and they dump it in this park. So I'm like, so this is like a known thing, and you left your car unlocked? So like there's a park, I guess, littered with purses, merces, and wallets. He went looking, he didn't see anything. And we drove around to like every police station because we wanted to file a report. Now, because they're French, they didn't really have a 24-hour police station. It was like the weekend. It was going to be Sunday. Everybody wants to be sleeping in and doing their whatever. What do they do? Their petit déjeuner? I don't know. And so there weren't actually a lot of stations open, so we couldn't find one. By the time we, stumbled back, it was, the light was out. We ended up having to break into the apartment that I was staying at. Don't tell my friend. It's okay. She knows. Because I didn't have my keys. They threw the purse away. So, we had to break into my own apartment. It was creepily easy. I'm not going to tell you what section of Montreal that was in because I don't want you going in and breaking into apartments there and continuing the cycle of crime. Just break it. The next morning, I was utterly exhausted, but I'm not really the kind of person who can really sleep in no matter how late I go to bed. My body just wakes me up at a certain time, which is why I have insomnia and hate life all the time. So, I'm up and I got to go out and find some breakfast with my one credit card. Hopefully they'll take it. And so, I'm walking down the street and I have bleary-eyed. I'm wearing my little newsboy cap, my glasses. I'm on Periscope. Remember that? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you guys, my purse was stolen. There's like music going on, stores, tons of people, and I'm just kind of like blearily stumbling along, trying to find a cafe that seems appealing, that would take my credit card. And I start shrieking on Periscope because the next thing you know, I see coming towards me a woman pushing a baby carriage with a pig in it. Not a piglet, not like a cute little, like, good job, Wilbur, what up, babe, No, this was a 30-pound, pink and gray, totally hairy, full-grown ass man pig. I think it was a dude. And I go, oh my God. I'm shrieking in the middle of the street because I'm sure that woman really wanted, some like little American running up to her. And I was like, can I touch it? And I put my hand down. The pig looks up at me and he goes, like he grunts full force at me. I think, I'm telling you, I think we're in love. I mean, it was like the world stopped. Oh, I just died in your arms tonight. It was like that. Okay. Yes, Batman Lego. Thank you. That's also actually my chemo theme song. Go on my Instagram. Check out my chemo time thing. Highlight. And she's forced to stop. They're so nice up in Quebec. And she's like, well, of course. And thanks to me shrieking about it and videotaping this and going on Periscope with this. So now a crowd of people are coming and everyone's storming, this pig, and the little kids are like, nah, nah, nah. And I like slip away quietly. My job is done, causing a diversion. And I swear my whole day changed. And at that moment, I knew that God was like, girl, you are so sad and so tired from you've been living in Montreal for a month now. Your purse was gone. I don't care about the money, the credit cards, whatever. What I was sad about was some really, really sentimental things. Like my lucky $2 bill that I had kept for decades, that I had given to the girl I call my little sister that I grew up with. I was her maid of honor and she wore it as something borrowed, in her wedding. It's just really sentimental things like that. The wallet was given to me by one of my absolute favorite students who grew up into this beautiful, successful young woman, and we became friends for a few years after, before she ran off to London and just like disappeared off the face of the earth. There was just a lot of sentimental things. And so I just felt like that was the moment when God was like, oh, you were so sad. What can I do? Let me just grab a stroller, throw a pig in it, and boom, instant happiness. So that moment stands out to me a lot on so many levels. And yes, I did find a nice cafe. They took my credit card. I had a lovely, maybe it was a quiche or some sort, and it was a grand old time. It was totally fine. I didn't need sleep. I was young. It was like 3 years ago. But thanks for asking that. Thanks for taking this trip down memory lane. And thank you, Montreal, for, stealing my purse. Alrighty. Thanks for listening to The Sophia Chang Show. Thanks so much for listening to The Sophia Chang Show. If you liked what you heard, subscribe, rate 5 stars, and better yet, write a review about what you liked. And feel free to submit any questions that you have that you want answered on air. I really appreciate you listening.